Looks like we're swimming.
Okay, so there's gonna be spoilers in this. This is about halfway through the game, um, in my second playthrough. But I just wanted to express some thoughts, which I'm sure a lot of people have, and but I just kind of feel strongly about. So The Last of Us Part 2, I'll go back in time. So in 2013, I played The Last of Us. It was just called The Last of Us back on PS3, and I it was one of those games that just blew me away. Like the ending and a lot of other moments leading up to that. So I guess I'm really spoiling both games, part one and part two. So the stuff and everything. Well, there are a ton of moments, all the classic iconic moments from The Last of Us, the first game. They hit me big time. And there were just ways that I connected, that I kind of connected with Joel and Ellie, for different reasons, like both characters that I could identify with. And I just thought it was just a powerful story, et cetera, et cetera. One of my favorite games. And I just watched a lot of streams after that, people streaming it like on Twitch and whatnot. Also, some YouTube videos as well. I watched. But yeah, it was amazing. One of my favorite games. And actually, I had come in there as a Naughty Dog fan. So, I played Uncharted 3. That was my first, that and Modern Warfare 2 were my first PS3 games that I played. And Uncharted 2, I hadn't played, I don't know if I said Uncharted 2 at the start, but Uncharted 2 is what I'm talking about on the PS3. Um, that game was one of the first games of that era to blow me away. Also, just I thought was just amazed by that campaign the first time I played it. So I was a Naughty Dog fan since then. I played, one and Uncharted 1 and 3, and 3 I played even more than 2, I guess, just because for whatever, multiplayer and stuff like that. Anyway, so I had high expectations for for the first Last of Us, and it met those, exceeded them by far. Um, so then, I was kind of surprised by the change of tone because, obviously it became really, rated R and all that. Um, but yeah, it was amazing. So then, when The Last of Us Part 2 and the initial publicity came out, I pretty much ignored it. I didn't watch any of the trailers and stuff because I felt like they were just gonna just. It seemed like I was getting the impression that they were just like gonna just destroy the characters or something. Like Ellie was like getting like a personality change, or something. So it didn't sound like good to me. So I just kind of tuned it out and didn't watch any of the trailers and whatnot. That was through, 2019, 2020 or whatever, 2021, et cetera, et cetera. And then I also saw YouTube, I saw some spoilers on about Last of Us 2, like on the Quarterings channel, I think it was, and some other channels. People just went out and spoiled it and said, Joel dies and he's killed and with a golf club and et cetera, et cetera. And this is just terrible and this is a stupid idea and they should basically this should just be they should be ashamed of themselves, et cetera, et cetera. And so yeah, I said, oh, that does sound bad. I guess I don't this game's not worth my time. So I didn't play it. And I would look at YouTube videos complaining about it and saying Naughty Dog is, they're woke and they just went far left and they're just, you know, things like that, that they just don't care about their characters, I guess. They just did character assassination of Joel, who's one of the most beloved characters from, for a lot of young people, who grew up with the first game, et cetera, et cetera. And it just all sounded bad. It sounded like, everyone was in agreement this was a bad game and then what he won all these awards, but it shouldn't have, blah, 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 blah. So I ignored the game. Um, until
Okay,
this month. So April
where to now?
2025.
Working on it.
April 2025 is the first time I played this game. and I got it digitally and I beat it in like a week of actual like start to finish like PlayStation Plus Premium or whatever. I saw there was a trial and I played it. It was like 2 hour trial and then I was like, oh, and then I um got the game after that and then I was probably like actually 3 or 4 days of actual serious playing after that 2 hour trial. So it was probably about 3 or 4 days. I could figure it out by looking at the trophies, but whatever. I just basically became hooked on it. Like I hadn't been hooked on a game since like, hooked as in like you end up playing like 4, 5, 6 hours on a Saturday or whatever, that kind of thing. I got hooked on this one. Same thing as same way before that last game I got hooked on with Stellar Blade. As far as like I could put like just like binge 3, 4, 5 hours or whatever. Like I was at time. So anyway, this game was just I was just blown away by the story and I basically realized a lot of these people on YouTube and social media, other social media places, were really just kind of maybe they didn't play the game. Well, I think a lot of them didn't play the game. And then I saw this Grounded 2 documentary about the game and saying that, yeah, there were these leaks, and I didn't know the story, but there were these leaks. This guy from the Netherlands got these videos and just released these videos from Naughty Dog's servers, and it was all out. It was with no context, and people became enraged by it. They saw Joel's death, et cetera, et cetera. And then there's just all these narratives about saying that, they took over, I think. It seems like it was like a groupthink and a lot of, I'm trying not to be mean with names and stuff, but groupthink, I think, is a fair term where a lot of people said, "Oh, this is horrible. Don't you think this is horrible?" And a lot of people just agreed with it without even playing the game. And I think a lot of the vocal critics still on YouTube, there's some big channels. I'm just gonna not name names, but I've watched a lot of the videos, subscribed to their channels and stuff. But I'm realizing now that I disagree with them, and I don't think a lot of them played the game. There's a lot of people on YouTube who make a lot of money criticizing games, and I'm all for it. I don't like, Assassin's Creed Shadows is something I'm never going to play. All this stuff, Concord, all this other woke stuff is definitely stupid in my opinion, or at least, at the very least, not my taste, not my cup of tea. But this game, yeah, and I'm a conservative person, and I'm, not like some huge, pride flag type of person or whatever, et cetera, et cetera. But that's not really the point of the story. It's a story about psychoviolence, revenge, things like that, human nature, human condition, all kinds of things, and love and loss and all that. Still, just like the first game that has love and loss. So, and then the gameplay is phenomenal. It's better than, I mean, it's compelling, it's challenging, it's tough, it's puzzles
This way.
that are well constructed. Obviously, I could see from the Grounded 2 documentary that they um, tested those with QA, the puzzles, to make sure that they kind of fine tune them and tweak them and make sure that they were reasonable and all that. And, the technical, oh my goodness, I wasn't really thinking, just gave myself away. But I guess with stalkers, I guess it's not a big deal anyway. It doesn't matter. Um, oh shoot, clicker, that's a different story. Yeah, all these classic clickers are so classic as enemy types. Because of the way you have to play them, because you can't just go in guns blazing generally, and especially if you're like Ellie, you can't really just take them face to face really, and in general. So unless you stun them or something first or whatever, or blindside them. But it's just amazing. The listening mechanic I think is genius. Since the first game obviously had that as well. But the just the differences in the gameplay, the tall grass and all and things like that. Um, um, It's just amazing. I was just blown away by this game. I think it was incredible, and I don't think they assassinated the character of Joel or anything like that, or Ellie for that matter. Not like that was a concern. I think Ellie is an amazing protagonist. She's better as a protagonist because it's not about power. It's not about can like a 100-pound girl beat up like a 250-pound man or whatever, that kind of stupidity. In a fight, no, 1-to-1 fight, in a fair fight or whatever. Just like with like hand-to-hand combat. I'm not talking about guns, obviously. 100-pound girl can obviously beat a 250-pound man if she's got a gun. But uh, there's none of that about. It's not about Ellie being like some girl boss, superpowered person or whatever, like or anything like that. As far as it's more about she's a three-dimensional character. Like you know what her weaknesses are, her strengths, her flaws. You know what her kind of blind spots are, her biases. Her imperfections. Um, so she's just an amazing character. I mean, yeah, I played like Tomb Raider and things like that, and other games with female protagonists, Stellar Blade, like I said. Those characters just don't feel as 3D. They don't feel like as completely realized.
Everything. Is that it?
Yeah,
Oh, and I played
I
this
think so.
game. I played this game without subtitles, and I think a lot of people feel, in the last 10 years or so, kind of felt like, oh, you should just, if you're doing a story game, you should put subtitles on. But I realized with this one, I was just like, I'm just not going to use subtitles. And you don't miss anything really. Um, assuming that you can hear, like you're in a room where there's not like other stuff going on, like some, road construction or whatever. You should be, it's the sound quality is so clear. You should be fine. I'm using headphones right now, but um, just all these little details. I think the presentation, you could make an argument that, I mean, it's basically there's a top tier quality of cutscenes, whatever you want to call it. You can feel production values, you can feel when the pacing and things like that, the camera angles and all those kinds of things, the use of music. It's top notch. I wouldn't say that you can say that it's the head and shoulders above others. There's a lot of other stuff, games which just have what you'd have to consider as top quality. And for example, the God of War Ragnarok, the cutscenes, the production value, however you want to describe it, the quality of the cutscenes, just you feel like you're watching something that's just extremely professional, well put together, and effective, and well done, and well thought out, and all that. So it's just an amazing game. Oh no, some of this stuff now I'm remembering. Okay, so as far as replay value, um, uh, where's the clicker? It's over there, right? Um,
Okay, now that's it.
and okay, so Abby, I haven't talked about
This
Abby.
place looks like a dead end.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Um, so Abby is a character that I like. And I was coming in, I guess my expectations were lowered. I guess it's fair to say that my expectations were lower than they would otherwise be because of all the bad um press it's got, not bad press, but all the YouTube uh commentary. I mean, even just reading the titles, you can just see all people saying, "Oh, Last of Us 2 was a disaster. It was a bad move. They lost. The sales went from 30 million of the first game to 10 million on the second game or something like that. So it was a stupid idea, that it was poorly executed, or whatever you want to say. Negative opinions basically were just predominating. If you look at YouTube, it looks like the negative opinions are at least getting the most views and amplification apparently. And to me, I think that lowered my expectations, but so it's fair to say that my expectations were lower than they would be otherwise when coming into this game, and so yeah, there's a higher chance of them being exceeded. However, um, I think just otherwise, even if I had come in completely blind, I think I would have loved this game. Oh, I know I would have. So, um, say we go this way? Yeah, I guess we go this way. So what happened to that? Did Jesse get the guy? Oh, diversity, etc., etc.
Team Jackson.
Uh,
Fuck these motherfuckers.
Couldn't have said it better.
yeah. Jesse's an okay character. Dina is not. She kind of gets on my nerves. I don't want to get too into it, but kind of once you have like a Mary Sue is something I don't like. I'm not a big fan of Mary Sue's. I mean, sometimes you get a feeling like there's a character who's just kind of like basically supposed to be so like completely good and noble and all those kinds of things, and it's to the point where it's kind of boring. So that for me is kind of what I'm thinking of with a Mary Sue. So in God of War Ragnarok, I guess I'm spoiling a little bit on that game too, but Angrboda in that game is a Mary Sue to me because she's just kind of so annoyingly always right and always wise and always talk, et cetera, et cetera. And it's like kind of patronizing to me. I think it's like, okay, there's like this race swap, and then they make the character, and then they kind of feel like they can't really make the character have anything more than maybe some minimal negative aspects. Otherwise, they just need to be kind of like an angel of it. So Dina is kind of a little bit so, positive and so forth that it's a little bit irritating. I think Jesse is the right mix of he's just got a little bit of, you know, realism and cynicism and stuff to him.
No
I
idea
don't
what to
need the
do
hint.
here.
See if we can get over there.
Oh, one other good thing is I didn't use hints in this game to beat it, which I think is nice. And I didn't, Google anything or whatever to beat this game. Because, there are some games now like that where it's like they've got these puzzles that are just too complicated, like where, like, unless somebody kind of their brain thinks in a certain way, they're just going to be going, just walking around in circles, and it's just silly. So they didn't have anything like that in this game where it's like just kind of overly complicated type of stuff. And everything just kind of seemed like it would make sense in like a in a real world. Anyway, okay, I'm trying to remember this. So I didn't see anything down there. Okay, so I'm talking about the puzzles, and then am I gonna get stuck on a puzzle that I've already beat? Um, what about this? I think this is okay. I think that's it. I don't know how long this video has been, but oh, 18 minutes. Okay, that's good enough. Obviously rambling here. Oh, but Abby, she's great. The whole Abby Owen thing was really nice as far as you have like, Ellie is mostly in the, when you think about her relationships, it's all, lesbian type stuff. But Abby's just like straight. And so she's just got like this boy goal kind of thing with Owen, which is really good. I think it's really well done. The scenes there, they're powerful, um, and really well done. Especially the one like in the aquarium, like the stuff, that the flashback there. I thought was just really well done. Um, so yeah, I think she's a good character. I do see in the face. Especially in the beginning, I was like, why is her jaw so like square? It seems like really excessively square to have but I mean, I would just eventually just kind of, I think, of tune it out. And it's like, flashbacks when she's younger, it's more less square, her jaw. which I'm sure is intentional, but I mean, I think it just looks better, obviously.
Ferris wheel's really far.
Making progress.
So
There's
I
no
think they
fuel.
didn't have to make her her jaw so square. Um, but the character, you know, her arms, that was really awesome to see.
Dead end.
Yeah, again, yeah, you're probably not going to be able to cast someone like that if for the TV show. And I haven't seen one single episode of a TV show because I was just not interested. It sounded like they were doing all kinds of weird stuff with it and whatnot. I might check it out eventually. I know they're in season two, episode two came out last Sunday. So I guess season two, episode three is tomorrow. So I probably will catch up on it, but I'll just be looking at it like this is kind of like not canon, so to speak. You know, it's fan fiction. I know Neil Druckmann is involved, et cetera, but I'm just not a big fan of the actor of Pedro Pascal and Bella Ramsey as far as what I've seen, um, or what I'm hearing and stuff like that about them. In these roles, I don't think they fit either one of them. Um, so it's just like whatever. I mean, the actress for Abby looks okay. Um, you know, a lot of the stuff, oh, and the technical stuff is really good. I think the graphics and the stuff that they're doing with like water and other kind of, you know, physical type of things, blood, um, breaking glass, collisions, and things like that is just really amazing. I think it's on the level of Red Dead Redemption 2, and I know people make a lot of videos about that, comparing them. Red Dead Redemption 2 to me is an amazing game. I stand by that still, but it's kind of, um, but I think linear is oftentimes my
Think you
preference
can get through there?
Let's see.
because when you have one story or one basically main route, then they can put all of their attention and to detail and devotion to that main route. But once you have an open world,
I would have
um,
come, you know, if you told me you were leaving.
I just... I didn't think you'd be okay with all this.
I looked up to Joel. What happened to him was messed up. I would have come.
um, you can
Joel
have,
liked you a lot too, you know. I used to think I had a crush on you.
Really?
you know, this is a confusing
I
thing.
mean, you're handsome and whatever, but I'm not into your type.
What, Asians?
Yeah, that's obviously what I meant.
Um, yeah, when you have an open world game, you might have a lot of stuff that where they know the player only maybe like 1% of players will actually see this certain section. So why would they put a ton of resources into that section into a place that only 1% of players are going to get to? So, and then you kind of have urgency problems too with open world games where it's like, okay, so this is some amazing story, but the guy is gonna go fishing for a couple hours and go hunting for an hour and and things like that, and play poker for an hour. So it's just kind of, well, if there's this amazing plot, then isn't that going to be kind of pulling the character? So, and then the other thing is, yeah. So I know obviously you can spend 100+ hours in the game, and I have in Red Dead Redemption 2, Witcher 3, etc., etc. You can put three digit numbers hours in a game like that for sure. But for me, it's like have one story and stick with it. Just have one ending. For me, I'm just kind of feeling like multiple endings to a story is kind of a cop out because it's basically saying well, let the player decide what ending they like better, A, B, or C or whatever. GTA 5 is an exception for that for me because it's kind of like people know. It's not like you have like this. It's not the same, just for different reasons. It's just not as serious, etc. But yeah, there's one ending. You don't have like pick your ending, the ending that makes you feel good, etc., etc. good ending, bad ending, and all that stuff. And just pick, let the people who put it on the creators of the game to make an ending and stand by it, and that's the ending. And the audience can like it or not, but they should at least feel that it makes sense, that it's earned or whatever, if it needs to be, if it's a good ending or a positive ending or whatever. And it should say something. The story should say something. It should be some kind of lesson or that they are trying to communicate, which the audience may or may not agree with. But there should be some kind of message, I would think. What was it all for? What did the characters learn? Um, so anyway, I think now I'll stop it here. But again, the linear games, go ahead and go with those. Cutscenes are skippable. So yeah, I understand the feeling. Okay, people, Metal Gear Solid, people are like, oh, there's so many cutscenes. It's just like a movie, or you're just like, watching a movie and all that. I know it's the game. That isn't also a game that blew me away and way back when. Um, but I think it did change games as far as these basically cinematic experiences or whatever. Um, but I think this is just art. It's a masterpiece, and that is how it works. Obviously, it's not for everybody. I play Elden Ring a ton also. As you can see, I've got videos on Elden Ring on my channel and things like that. I play a lot of non-story games, of course, multiplayer games and all that. But these games should always be around. These games should receive their respect and so forth. They're due praise when they're executed um, to a high level, like this one is. And I'm just kind of paying homage to this game, this video. So that's it. Thank you for watching.